Okay, today I'm in Bristol with Andy Smith. Thanks, Andy, for agreeing to do it. Now, all my life, I know you as a bookmaker, but what would you describe yourself as these days, bookmaker or punter?
After selling the pitches, Simon, I'm going to say I'm a winter punter and a summer bookmaker. I don't want to be stood out in the rain making a book. That's not for me no more. So yeah, I like going out in the summer, but I'm a much better punter in the winter, national hunt racing.
Okay, so your angle is just national hunt?
Yeah, I very rarely bet on the flat. I do like to have a bet, but I specialise on the flat horses that have been running over hurdles and going back on their old flat mark, and I think that's a way of getting money.
Okay, now you're what am I saying? You're in your 50s now. You've been a form student since you was a teenager.
Yeah, I'll be 60 in August as it happens. So yeah, I've been punting since I was possibly 12, 13 years old. I started going with my dad to Newton Abbot, and I think we used to get £0.50 wages then. We used to get 50p wages. And I can remember my first bet was I'd borrow a shilling off someone so I could bet a 55p to win 50p on the first 11 to 10 on chance of the day. So I've been betting horses for quite a long time. I've been betting horses when I went to school. My mum would give me my dinner money on a Monday, and I come back on a Monday night and she'd say to me, "What do you have for lunch today?" I used to say 3 doubles and a treble. I used to give my maths teacher my dinner money and had a bet with it. So I was starving all week, or if I want better winner, I have fish and chips every day. So that was me.
So you had a bit of an aptitude for maths at school?
Maths was my favourite subject. So I remember we used to have the old-fashioned boards that used to pull down, and the headmaster, the maths teacher would say, "Right, tonight's homework is," and he pulled the board down, and all the pupils had to write down the questions and take it home. I got the guy next to me, and I used to look at the board and give him the answers at the top of my head. By the time we got to the next lesson, probably English, all 35 of us had exactly the same answers for the homework. We had it done without even taking it home.
So it's interesting, you say you're betting from an early age, but you was actually seriously studying the form, whereas most of us used to look at man on the spot. So when did you actually start delving into that?
I probably started not till I was about 15 of buying the race form handicap book every week on I think it was a Wednesday, and you should take out the middle of the paper and you had big pins, and you used to have a big red folder and you used to put the results in every week and build up your own form book. And you go back and you had every race was indexed and every runner was indexed. So I started probably 15 writing my bets after I was 16 probably.
And is that something you've actually enjoyed doing?
I love looking at the form of horses. Sometimes it's really funny to say it's not the winning the money, it's being proven right. You know what I mean? So a bookmaker was going up, offering you a certain price, and you thought it shouldn't be that price. You have a bet. It was just lovely to be right.
Okay, so these days, obviously you're punting very seriously if you're only going racing in half a year. So how many hours a day would you spend doing the form?
It depends what time of year really, but I would say anything between 8 and 12 hours a day. I spend a lot of time, possibly Mondays is one of my busy days. Everything's changed in gambling, in bookies, betting on every race, and us being able to get prices on horses for the weekend. So say on Monday we get the entries at midday for the Saturday races. I start on the Saturday cards quite early in the week, and that takes me a long time, and I love anti-post betting as well.
Okay, so what are you looking for, horses that can win, or are you looking for ricks that bookmakers have made? Which way are you looking, or is it a bit of both?
I'd always say I was always looking for horses to win the race, but I'd have a price which I think they should be, and I'd normally price up. If it was the racing for say Wednesday for tomorrow, I would say there's a 9-runner race. I put them in yesterday at about 109%, 108%. And yeah, I started looking for horses to win. But you are right when people says to me, "No, you're looking for the value." Well, tomorrow there's a horse, Captain Morgs. I think I put it 9-2 when I done my tissue yesterday, betting to about 7-8%. And I looked and seen William Hills went 15-2. I didn't really was in no rush to back him at 9-2, but at 15-2, I've had to go and back him, So I am looking for value.
Okay, now the way you sort of interpreted forms obviously worked out for you because you've been successful. But has that, the way you've looked at it, had to change over the years?
I've still done the same thing. And, you know, my most important thing at looking at the form was, the ground, what they run on that day. I think horses act on different ground. I love the fact you follow a trainer that's informed, which now it's very easy to keep a hold of because you can just do it on the laptop. Before, I used to write every night how the trainers also were running. And my biggest thing, it's always been the same thing, is horses changing yards. They go from a yard where the trainer was very, very moderate, say, well, you know, I said earlier, you probably couldn't train Lassie out of bark. But then all of a sudden, he goes to a good trainer and the improvement is massive.
So you're always looking out for what? So how would you spot that sort of horses that have gone to the different trainer and improved dramatically? Is that it?
I like what they've probably got a lot of back form, and they've gone to someone that haven't been able to get the best out of that horse, and he's gone to a good trainer. There's so many good trainers out there. There's probably under the radar. You know, I'm good friends with Anthony Honeyball, Neil Mulholland, Neil King. I've had horses with them, good trainers, but there's still trainers for me that are under the radar. I love to see them pick a horse up. Like I picked one off the top of my head, Rob Warford, very, very good trainer. You know, if he picked a horse off of anyone, I'm quite happy to think Rob's going to bring a bit of improvement into that horse. Okay,
and you've already said that you specialise in jumps racing,
yep.
But are there any types of jumps races that you swerve? Do you specialise more for, you know, into anything specifically in the jumps?
I think the only thing I try to swerve on the jumps is probably the northern racing. It seems funny that I don't follow the northern racing. I watch it, but I don't bet very often at the north at all. I think I've always specialised in the Westcountry, down the south. We watch the horses run all the time. We get to know the trainers. We get to know the horses. We get to know it's. So I tend to just basically play all around the Westcountry and up as far as the Midlands.
Okay, now you talk about your. You start with your dad.
Yep.
Dick Reynolds.
Dick Reynolds, yeah.
So, when did you actually start working on the pitch?
I worked for him tic-tacking when I was at school. As I said, my dad would say to me, "What lessons you got today?" And I'd say, "I got English, geography, history, and PE." He said, "No, you ain't. You're coming to Newton Abbot tic-tacking." I used to build the stalls up there, and my dad would be in the silver ring at Newton Abbot, or he'd be in the centre at Devon and Exeter, or Bath. You know, I was tic-tacking when I was 13.
So that was some education working on the pitch.
That was brilliant. Like when my old man used to call me up and he said, ask me what the favourite was, and I'd say 5 of all. He'd go, lay 11.08 to 55 quid. If I could lay the 5 to 4 after it was going, to nick a fiver for him, he was delighted. You know what I mean? So I was always learning from a very early age and gone working since I can't remember, you know, a long, long time ago.
Yeah, of course, these days you're not allowed to do it. They're the powers that be, so you've got to be 18.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Listen, how many times did you have a bet before you were 18? And how many times... I've started at the points, and every young fella used to have a bet with you, a pound on something. I know we got a problem with people that probably bets beyond their means, but I was always the ones that teach you out letting the young have a go.
So apart from working for your dad, what other bookmakers did you work for back in the day?
Well, we start from my dad. So from him, I'd work for Stephen Little. I'd work for Johnny Dean when it was Curtis and Dean. I remember being
Sid Curtis,
Curtis and Dean. My first main job where I got a salary was with Eddie Baxter, Have It On with Avalon. I used to stay at his house in Glastonbury and Benedict Street for many a year. I enjoyed my time with Eddie. He was a very good education as well.
So what were you doing for them? Were you clerking, tic-tacking?
I'd done a bit of both. I enjoyed the tic-tacking, but quite often I did enjoy the clerking. Obviously, it was great when it was the old-fashioned clerking, and you know you had to rely on a good team, around you. You wanted a good team. You wanted somebody that could tic-tac. I was a very, very good friend, Ashley Woodford, and we spent so many times growing up working for the same bookmaker. We were I think we were a good team, and especially when we were together working for Eddie Avalon.
Yeah, and I remember both of you guys because Eddie Baxter was the first one to price up. So all us floormen used to stand around and wait for Eddie to price up and then scamper back with the prices or wait to see if anybody's knocked him over. So did you had some involvement in that? Yeah,
Eddie knew I loved me jump racing, and even at sort of 16, 17, I learnt my percentages very early off from Dad. And you soon learn 3 to 1 is your 2 is even. So, but I could price a tissue pretty good, and I thought it was pretty good anyway. And Eddie used to always ask me how I bet, only on the jumps, So he's, I like to think I did help him on the jumps.
Right, I'm going to throw you under the bus here because I've asked a lot of clever people how they do this. Pricing up a race, you all make it sound so easy. Where do you start?
You start by, it's taking you a long time and you're still learning every day. But if I have a race, let's go with the race, tomorrow with the Captain Morgs, you got your 8 or 9 runners. I'm having a look at the form. I basically know, I go through the form of them all, look what acts on the track, see how the stable are. I find I might start with the outsiders, horses I'm going to make 25, which I wouldn't take 33. And then I just build up to exactly how I want to back, how I think they should bet. It's just trial and error. And if any young punter out there who wants to get in the game, get yourself a form book, go and get Raceform Interactive, one of the people that, you get the form delivered every night on the internet, and have a practice. Don't look at anybody else's prices. Do your own. Bet to 1% of runner, 2% of runner, or bet to 100%. But just have a little practice, work away at it, and then the next day see how your odds compared to how they were. It's a good way to getting used to being able to price a race. Every race is going to take you, depending on the size of the field, but it's going to take you an hour, half an hour to an hour to do. Mm-hmm. So, anybody who wants to go out there, you just start trying and experimenting.
Okay, so how many times would you Eddie price up and John Noakes or Dodgy McCartney knocked him over?
It wasn't so much John because he couldn't get enough on. It was more like Deaf Paul or Eddie Fremantle was trying to knock the joint over. And when you went to London, it was quite a few. I can remember being at Goodwood, and quite a few couldn't wait for Eddie to price up. And they'd always, I think H&S, Alan Marcel, I think he was always after trying to have a bet with Eddie when he put his prices on the board.
So would you get Neil Wilkins's as well and sort of compare the two?
No, we didn't really get Neil's. Neil used to do his tissue and give it out before racing. Gather round, lads, gather round. It was all there, Donald Murrow and all the other bookies taking Neil's prices. But Eddie would just do his own, and he stuck by his own. Eddie was a great man for the time form. He used to love the time form. And there wasn't a meeting went by that Eddie didn't buy the time form.
Okay, and talking about moving forward a bit when you were pricing up yourself, we'll go into that a bit later. But if you price one up, how much money would it take to convince you that you made a rick?
Depends. Sometimes, Simon, not a lot. If I ain't got no redders on me, but no, you've got to believe in your ability. Look, I've been a punter all my life basically, and I've made it pay by working hard. So sometimes I'm not going to try to price a Barney Curly horse up. I'm not going to try to price a lot of different trainers' horses up that they've sort of got a bit extra and you might not know what they got. So races I'll miss is, I don't fancy that trainer, you don't know what he's done. Lead the race alone. No one's forcing you to have a bet in every race. No one's forcing you to price up every race. Just so if I'm doing a race where I know, look, they've had enough, they're all exposed horses, I'm quite happy that I'm going to be right. Not every time, because no one's right every time, but I'm right enough to gamble on it.
Right, now you've been betting for what? You're nearly 60, so you've been betting for 45 years, yeah. And you've obviously made it pay. How many times in those 45 years did you really start to doubt that you'd gone at a game?
Plenty of times, Simon. I've gone through runs where I've done nothing right. Bookmaking. I've made the wrong decision, thinking I can't carry on. The best thing to do was take a few days off and start again, and you'd be okay.